I've always believed that the truth has a way of crawling through the smallest cracks, like water finding its way into a basement during a storm. What I didn't expect was for it to come slithering through the heating vent in my own garage while I was elbow deep in a busted air conditioning unit on a Tuesday night in June. My name is Dan Kavanaugh, and I run a small HVAC business in what used to be a thriving industrial town in the upper Midwest. These days, it's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone else's business, where gossip travels faster than the morning coffee gets cold, and where secrets have a shelf life shorter than milk left out in the sun. I was underneath Mrs. Henderson's ancient cooling unit, trying to bring its failing compressor back to working order, when voices drifted down from upstairs through the ductwork. My wife Rachel's voice, sharp and impatient, and my daughter Sophie's, defensive and whiny. "You think Dad's clueless?" Sophie's voice carried clearly through the metal. "He's just too pathetic to see you're screwing Tyler. He's at that boxing gym all day anyway, not like he'd notice." I froze, my wrench suspended in midair. The compressor hummed mockingly above me. Rachel's response was quieter, but the ductwork carried it perfectly. "Keep your voice down, and it's not what you think. Tyler and I have a professional relationship." "Professional?" Sophie laughed, bitter and sharp. "Mom, I saw the hotel key card in your purse. The Marriott downtown isn't exactly a law office?" I set my tools down carefully, my hands surprisingly steady. 23 years of marriage, and this was how I found out. Not through some dramatic confrontation or suspicious behavior I'd been tracking for months. Just my daughter casually dropping the bomb like she was commenting on the weather. Tyler Keene. I knew the name. Flashy car salesman, mid-30s, the kind of guy who wore expensive suits to sell overpriced vehicles to people who couldn't afford them. He'd been at a few of the law firm's social events, always hovering around Rachel, complimenting her on cases, laughing too hard at her jokes. "Dad's a good man," Sophie continued, and I felt a flicker of hope. "He doesn't deserve this. Your father is..." Rachel paused, and I could picture her choosing her words carefully. "He's comfortable, safe. But I'm not 25 anymore, Sophie. I've worked hard to get where I am, and I deserve more than safe." More than safe. 23 years of building a life together, of supporting her through law school while I worked double shifts, of celebrating her victories and holding her through her defeats, and I was just safe. I slid out from under the unit and sat on my garage floor, back against my workbench, listening to my wife and daughter discuss my inadequacies like I was a piece of furniture they were considering replacing. The conversation moved away from the vent, their voices fading as they headed toward the kitchen. I sat there for a long time, surrounded by tools and spare parts, trying to process what I'd just learned. The funny thing about betrayal is that it doesn't hit you like a truck. It seeps in slowly, like carbon monoxide, poisoning everything quietly until you realize you can't breathe. I'd suspected something was off for months. Rachel had been working later, taking more business trips, spending hours at the gym she'd joined downtown. Her phone was always face down now, and she'd started using a passcode. When I'd asked about it, she'd laughed it off, saying she'd had some issues with spam calls and wanted more privacy. Privacy. From her husband of 23 years. I pulled myself up and walked to the small refrigerator I kept in the garage, grabbing a bottle of water. My reflection in the darkened window showed a man who looked older than his 46 years. Gray threading through brown hair, lines around my eyes from squinting at furnace diagnostics, hands permanently stained with grease and calluses. I wasn't Tyler Keene, with his manicured nails and expensive cologne. I was just Dan Kavanaugh, the guy who fixed things when they broke. But here's the thing about being a repairman. You learn to see problems from every angle. You learn patience. You learn that the most complex issues often have simple solutions, and that sometimes the best fix is the one nobody sees coming. I finished Mrs. Henderson's air conditioner that night, testing every connection twice, making sure it would run smoothly through the summer. Then I went inside, kissed Rachel on the cheek like I had every night for over 2 decades, and asked about her day. "Oh, the usual," she said, not looking up from her laptop. "Depositions, client meetings, nothing exciting. How about that new associate, Tyler? He seems nice." She glanced up then, just for a second, and I saw something flicker in her eyes. "Tyler's not an associate. He's just someone I know through the business community." "Why?" "No reason. Just thought I saw him at the Henderson account opening last month." "Probably. He gets around." She turned back to her screen, dismissing me. I went upstairs and showered, washing the day's work off my hands and arms, thinking about hotel keycards and professional relationships. In the mirror, I practiced different expressions, different reactions. The wronged husband, discovering his wife's affair. Which face would I wear when the time came? But not yet. Not until I knew everything. The next morning, I made coffee for both of us, like always, scrambled eggs the way Rachel liked them, and kissed her goodbye as she left for work in her silver Mercedes. Then I called my old boxing buddy, Marcus O'Hara. "Mook," I said when he answered. We'd called him Mook since high school, though I'd never asked why. "You busy today?" "Never too busy for you, Danny boy. What's going on?" "Need to talk. Your place?" "Come on over. I'll put the coffee on." Marcus owned a bar called The Knockout, a dive that catered to the kind of people who preferred their drinks strong and their conversations private. He lived in the apartment above it, a bachelor pad that hadn't changed much since the 80s. I found him in his kitchen, pouring coffee into mismatched mugs. "You look like someone stole your lunch money," he said, handing me a cup. "What's eating you?" I told him everything. The conversation I'd overheard, my suspicions, the way Rachel had been acting. Marcus listened without interrupting, his weathered face growing darker with each detail. "Tyler Keene," he said finally. "Yeah, I know the guy. Comes in here sometimes, usually with different women. Real piece of work, always talking about his next big score, how he's going to upgrade this or that." "What do you think I should do?" Marcus leaned back in his chair, studying me. "What do you want to do?" "I want to know the truth, all of it. And then, I considered this. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? Just an end to the uncertainty? Then I want them to understand what they've taken from me." Marcus smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. "Now you're talking my language." The thing about living with a cheater is that once you know what to look for, the signs are everywhere. Rachel's phone buzzing at odd hours, quickly silenced. Her sudden interest in working out, buying new clothes, changing her perfume. The way she'd started showering immediately when she got home, claiming she needed to wash off the stress of the day. I became a student of my own wife, cataloging every lie, every excuse, every moment when she chose Tyler over truth. It was like watching a stranger wear my wife's face, and the worst part was how good she was at it. 3 days after my conversation with Marcus, I was installing a new furnace at the Peterson house when my phone rang. Rachel, calling from work. "Danny, I'm going to be late tonight. We have a client dinner that might run long." "Anyone I know?" "Just some people from the commercial development project. Nothing interesting." "What restaurant?" A pause. Just a heartbeat, but I caught it. "That new place downtown. Meridian, I think?" "Sounds fancy. Have fun." "I will. Don't wait up." After I finished at the Petersons, I drove downtown and parked across from Meridian. Upscale place, white tablecloths, and valet parking. I waited for 2 hours, watching every person who went in and out. Rachel never showed, but I did see Tyler's red Corvette parked at the Marriott 3 blocks away. I sat in my truck, engine running, staring at that hotel. Part of me wanted to march in there and confront them. Kick down doors, make a scene, let my anger loose like a caged animal finally set free. But that would be the old Dan, the one who solved problems with his fists back in his boxing days. This Dan was going to be smarter. I drove home and was sitting in my recliner watching the news when Rachel came in at 11:30. Her hair was slightly mussed, her lipstick gone, and she smelled like cologne I didn't recognize. "How was dinner?" I asked without looking away from the television. "Long, boring. You know how these business things are." "What did you eat?" Another pause. "The salmon was good. How was your day?" "Fixed the Peterson's furnace. Mrs. Peterson made me a sandwich." "That's nice." She was already heading upstairs. I'm exhausted, going to shower and go to bed. Of course she was. The next morning, I waited until Rachel left for work. Then I searched the house. I'm not proud of it, but I needed to know how deep this went. In her dresser drawer, underneath a stack of legal briefs, I found a second phone. A cheap prepaid model, the kind people buy when they don't want their activities traced. The text messages told the whole story. "Tyler, can't wait to see you tonight. Room 412. Rachel, I hate lying to him, but I can't stop thinking about you. Tyler, he doesn't have to know. This is about us. Rachel, I know. It's just complicated. Tyler, nothing complicated about this. You deserve better than some blue-collar guy who smells like motor oil." That one stung more than I expected. Motor oil and honest sweat. The smell of a man who worked with his hands to build something real. But to them, I was just an embarrassment, something to be hidden away while they played their sophisticated games. I photographed every message, every call log, every piece of evidence on that phone, then put it back exactly where I found it. Then I called Marcus. "I need your help with something," I said. "Name it." "How do you feel about a little surveillance work?" That weekend, Marcus and I followed Rachel to her girls' day out at the spa. She met Tyler at a coffee shop downtown. Then they drove to a house I didn't recognize in the expensive part of town. They stayed for 3 hours. "Whose place is that?" I asked Marcus as we sat in his car watching. "Let me make some calls." An hour later, he had the answer. "Belongs to Jenna Price, Rachel's law partner." I knew Jenna. Ambitious, sharp-tongued, the kind of woman who treated everyone like they were in her way. She'd never liked me, made that clear at every firm party and social event. I was the blue-collar husband who didn't fit with her vision of what a successful attorney's spouse should look like. "Think she knows about the affair?" Marcus snorted. "Danny, I think she's orchestrating it." That evening, Rachel came home glowing, talking about how refreshing her spa day had been, how good it felt to relax with the girls. She even suggested we go out to dinner, just the two of us, like old times. We went to Giuseppe's, the Italian place where we'd had our first anniversary dinner. She ordered wine, touched my hand across the table, asked about my work with genuine interest for the first time in months. For a moment, I almost forgot what I knew, almost let myself believe this was real. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it quickly, smiled, and typed a quick response. "Work?" I asked. "Just Jenna confirming our meeting tomorrow." But I'd seen enough of that second phone to recognize Tyler's number, even when it was calling her regular phone. The message preview had been just visible enough. "Missing you already." She was texting her lover while having dinner with her husband, and she was enjoying it. That's when I realized this wasn't just about an affair. This was about humiliation, about making me into a fool while they laughed behind my back, about taking everything I'd built and treating it like garbage. "You seem distracted," I said. "Just tired. Long week. We should do this more often. Spend time together." She squeezed my hand. "I'd like that." Lies, all of it. But I smiled and squeezed back, playing my part in her performance. The next Monday, I was replacing a water heater at the Morrison place when Sophie called. "Dad, are you okay?" "Fine, sweetheart. Why?" "You seemed weird at dinner last night. Mom said you've been stressed about work." "Your mother said that?" "Yeah, she's worried about you. Said you've been acting paranoid lately, asking strange questions." So Rachel was already building her defense, painting me as the unstable husband who was imagining things, getting our daughter on her side before I even knew there were sides to choose. "I'm fine, Sophie. Just working hard." "Okay, I love you, Dad." "Love you too." But after I hung up, I sat in the Morrisons' basement, surrounded by pipes and water heaters, and realized that Rachel wasn't just cheating on me, she was preparing to destroy me. Time to change the game. The plan came together over beer and pizza at Marcus's place on a Thursday night. We spread everything out on his kitchen table like generals planning a campaign: photographs, phone records, hotel receipts. I'd sweet-talked out of a desk clerk who remembered Rachel's face. "She's getting sloppy," Marcus said, studying a picture of Rachel and Tyler kissing in the hotel parking lot. "Or she doesn't care anymore." "It's worse than that. She's planning something." I told him about Sophie's call, about Rachel's comments about my paranoia. Marcus whistled low. "She's building a case, making you look unstable, so when this comes out, you're the crazy husband who couldn't handle his wife's success." That's what I figured. "So what's the play?" I leaned back in my chair, thinking. She wants to make me look like a fool? Let's give her the chance. The beauty of the plan was its simplicity. Rachel thought she was so much smarter than me, so much more sophisticated. She'd never expect me to turn the tables using her own arrogance against her. Marcus would be the key. He was single, good-looking in a rough way, and he had a reputation around town as someone who didn't ask too many questions. More importantly, Rachel had met him at several of our social gatherings over the years. She knew him, but not well enough to suspect anything. "You sure about this?" Marcus asked. "This could get messy." "It's already messy. I'm just choosing the battlefield." The first phase was establishing contact. Marcus started showing up at Rachel's gym, the upscale place downtown where she'd been spending so much time. Not to work out. Marcus preferred his heavy bag in the basement of the Knockout, but to be seen, to become familiar. It took 2 weeks before she noticed him. Marcus had charm when he wanted to use it, and he knew how to make a woman feel special without being obvious about it. A casual conversation by the water fountain, a joke about the pretentious atmosphere, an offer to spot her during her weight training. "She's interested," he reported after their third encounter, "asking questions about you, about our friendship, testing the waters." "What kind of questions?" "Whether you're happy, whether you talk about your marriage, whether you suspect anything." "And you said?" "That you're a good guy, but maybe a little too trusting, that you work too much and don't pay enough attention to what's right in front of you. Perfect. Marcus was feeding her exactly what she wanted to hear, that I was clueless and that she was justified in looking elsewhere. Meanwhile, I played my part at home. The oblivious husband, working long hours, coming home tired and distracted. I stopped asking about her schedule, stopped checking up on her activities. I gave her space to operate, to feel secure in her deception. The breakthrough came 3 weeks into the plan. Rachel came home from the gym with a different energy, more animated than she'd been in months. "I ran into your friend Marcus today," she said, almost casually. "Yeah? How's he doing?" "Good. He mentioned you guys don't hang out as much as you used to." "Work's been busy. You know how it is?" "Maybe you should make more time for friends. It's important to have people you can talk to." The irony was so thick I could taste it. My cheating wife was encouraging me to spend time with the friend who was helping me expose her. "Maybe you're right. I should call him." "You should. He seems lonely." There it was, the opening she was creating, the justification she was building. Poor, lonely Marcus, and Rachel, the compassionate friend who might offer him some comfort. 2 days later, Marcus texted me. "She made contact, invited me for coffee to talk about you, says she's worried." The coffee meeting happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Marcus wore a wire, a simple digital recorder I'd bought online, small enough to hide in his jacket pocket. The conversation was everything we'd hoped for. Rachel expressed concern about my mental state, my paranoia, my recent behavior. She painted herself as the worried wife, trying to understand what was wrong with her husband. Marcus played the sympathetic friend, offering to help in any way he could. "He's lucky to have you," Marcus said at one point. "Sometimes I wonder if he sees it that way," Rachel replied. "We've grown apart. I feel like I'm living with a stranger." That must be lonely. It is. Very lonely. The hook was set. Over the next week, Rachel found excuses to text Marcus, asking about me, sharing her concerns, gradually shifting the conversation toward more personal topics. Her marriage, her needs, her frustrations. Marcus played it perfectly, offering just enough sympathy and attention to keep her interested without being too aggressive. He was the understanding friend, the shoulder to cry on, the man who really listened to her. "She's ready," he told me after their 4th coffee meeting. Tonight, she asked if I ever got lonely too. And? I told her loneliness was the hardest part of being single, that I envied what you two had, even if it wasn't perfect. She bought it? Hook, line, and sinker. She's going to make a move soon. The move came the following Friday. I was supposedly leaving town for the weekend, driving to Chicago to look at some new equipment for the business. Rachel kissed me goodbye, told me to drive safely, and reminded me to call when I got there. Instead, I drove to Marcus's place and parked my truck in his garage. At 7:30, Rachel texted Marcus, "Danny's out of town for the weekend. Would you like to come over for dinner? I could use the company." Marcus showed up at 8, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing the wire. I was already in position, hidden in the basement with a clear view of the living room through the heating vent, my own recording equipment running. Rachel had dressed for the occasion. Black dress, heels, makeup, perfect. She'd transformed our living room into a seduction scene. Candles, soft music, the good china we only used for special occasions. "This is nice," Marcus said as she poured wine. "You didn't have to go to all this trouble." "It's no trouble. I enjoy cooking for someone who appreciates it." They talked through dinner, Rachel gradually steering the conversation toward more intimate topics. Her marriage, her loneliness, her needs that weren't being met. Marcus listened, offered comfort, played his part perfectly. After dinner, she moved closer to him on the couch, her hand on his arm, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I feel terrible about this," she said, "but I can't stop thinking about you." "Rachel, I know it's wrong. I know you're Danny's friend, but I'm so lonely, and you're so understanding." She leaned in to kiss him, and that's when Marcus and I sprang our trap. "Actually," Marcus said, pulling back, "there's something you should know." The basement door opened and I walked upstairs, followed by Tom Breslin, the lawyer I'd hired to witness everything. Rachel's face went white, then red, then white again. "Hello, sweetheart," I said. "How was your day?" The silence in that room was deafening. Rachel sat frozen on the couch, wine glass halfway to her lips, staring at me like I'd risen from the grave. Marcus stood up slowly, his expression carefully neutral, while Tom Breslin adjusted his glasses and checked his recording equipment. "Danny," Rachel finally managed, her voice barely a whisper. What is this?" "This," I said, settling into my favorite chair like I was getting ready to watch the evening news. is the moment when we stop pretending. She looked around the room, taking in the cameras I'd installed, the recording equipment, Tom with his legal pad and briefcase. Her lawyer's mind was working, calculating, looking for an escape route that didn't exist. You set me up. Actually, you set yourself up. I just gave you the opportunity. Rachel's shock was transforming into anger, her cheeks flushing red. You had no right? No right? I laughed, and it came out harder than I intended. I had no right to investigate my own wife's affair, to gather evidence of your relationship with Tyler Keene. Her face went pale again. How did you? The burner phone was a nice touch, very professional, though you might want to delete your messages more regularly. I pulled out a folder and spread the contents on the coffee table. Photos of her and Tyler, printouts of their text messages, hotel receipts, credit card statements showing dinners and gifts I'd never seen. 23 years, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. 23 years of marriage, and this is how you repay it? Sneaking around behind my back, making me look like a fool while you play house with some car salesman? It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been having an affair with Tyler Keene for 6 months. You've been meeting him at the Marriott downtown, at Jenna's house, probably other places I haven't figured out yet. You've been lying to me, to our daughter, to everyone who matters. Rachel stood up abruptly, pacing to the window. You don't understand. Our marriage has been over for years. We're just roommates, Danny. We haven't been happy. So you decided to fix that by humiliating me, by turning our daughter against me, by planning to make me look like a paranoid husband who couldn't handle his successful wife. She spun around, eyes flashing. You are paranoid. This whole elaborate setup proves it. What kind of man spies on his own wife? The kind whose wife is screwing around with someone half her age while telling everyone her husband is losing his mind. Tom cleared his throat. Mrs. Kavanaugh, I should inform you that everything said here tonight is being recorded and can be used in divorce proceedings. You might want to consider your words carefully. That's when Rachel really lost it. The careful mask she'd been wearing for months cracked completely, and the woman underneath was someone I barely recognized. You want to know the truth? She screamed. Fine. Yes, I'm having an affair. Yes, I'm in love with Tyler. And yes, I've been planning to leave you for months. You want to know why? Enlighten me. Because you're boring, Danny. You're predictable and boring and small. You fix air conditioners and come home covered in grease and think that's enough. Think that paying the bills and being faithful makes you a good husband. I thought it was a start. It's not enough. She was crying now, makeup running down her cheeks. I'm a successful attorney. I make more money than you ever will. I deserve better than this house, this life, this mediocrity. So you decided to trade up? Tyler understands me. He appreciates what I've accomplished. He doesn't make me feel guilty for wanting more. Marcus spoke for the first time since I'd come upstairs. And what about Danny? What did he do to deserve this? Rachel turned on him, fury in her eyes. You're just as bad as he is. Did you really think I was interested in you? You're a bartender who lives above a dive bar. I was using you to make Tyler jealous, to see if Danny suspected anything. The room went quiet. Marcus's face darkened, and I saw his hands clench into fists, but he stayed controlled, professional. So you were playing everyone, I said. I was protecting myself, building a life worth living, by destroying mine, by taking what I deserve. That's when the front door opened and Sophie walked in. She stopped short, taking in the scene. Her mother in tears, me with my evidence spread across the table, Marcus and the lawyer standing like witnesses at a trial. What's going on? She asked. Your father has lost his mind, Rachel said quickly. He's been spying on me, recording me, violating my privacy. Mom. Sophie's voice was quiet but firm. I already know about Tyler. Rachel's mouth fell open. What? I've known for months. I saw you with him at the hotel. I found the receipts in your purse. I heard you talking to Jenna about leaving Dad. Sophie, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. Sophie looked around the room, her gaze settling on me. I understand that you've been cheating on Dad while making him think he was going crazy. I understand that you've been planning to divorce him and take everything he's worked for. And I understand that you just got caught. Rachel sank back onto the couch, the fight going out of her. This isn't how I wanted you to find out. How did you want me to find out? When you served Dad with papers, when you moved in with Tyler, when you took half of everything he's built? It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Sophie turned to me. Dad, I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. You were protecting your mother, I understand. I was being a coward. Tom Breslin cleared his throat again. Mr. Kavanaugh, we have everything we need for the divorce proceedings. Mrs. Kavanaugh's admissions tonight, combined with the evidence you've gathered, should ensure a favorable outcome. Rachel looked up sharply. What do you mean, favorable? I mean, I said, standing up and collecting my photos, that adultery is still grounds for fault-based divorce in this state, which means you don't get half of everything. You get what the court decides you deserve after they hear about your affair. You can't do this. I already did it. The papers were filed this morning. You'll be served on Monday. She stared at me, comprehension dawning. You planned this whole thing. I learned from the best. You taught me that sometimes you have to be ruthless to get what you want. Danny, please, we can work this out. Go to counseling, start over. With Tyler, no thanks. I'll end it with Tyler. I'll do whatever you want. What I want is for you to understand what you've taken from me, what you've destroyed with your selfishness and your lies. I walked to the door, Marcus and Tom following. You can stay here tonight, but I want you out by Monday. Sophie, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. This is your home too. Dad, Rachel called after me, please don't do this. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. I turned back to look at her one last time, sitting on our couch in her seduction dress, surrounded by the evidence of her betrayal, crying for mercy she'd never shown me. Some things can't be fixed, Rachel. Some things are just broken. And with that, I walked out of my own house, leaving my wife to face the consequences of her choices alone. But I wasn't done, not by a long shot. The next morning, I woke up in Marcus's spare bedroom with a clarity I hadn't felt in months. The uncertainty was over, the waiting was done, and now it was time for the reckoning. Rachel had called 17 times during the night. I listened to the voicemails over coffee, her voice progressing from angry to desperate to pleading as the reality of her situation sank in. Danny, you have to call me back. We need to talk about this like adults. Please don't do this to our family. Think about Sophie. I know you're hurt, but destroying me won't make you feel better. Tyler means nothing to me. It was just a mistake, a moment of weakness. The last message was different. Her voice cold, controlled, back to the lawyer persona she wore like armor. Fine. If you want to play hardball, we'll play hardball. But remember, I know where the bodies are buried too. Marcus handed me a fresh cup of coffee. She's threatening you now. She's scared. Scared people make mistakes. What's the next move? I'd been thinking about that all night. Divorce proceedings would take months, and Rachel would use every trick in the book to delay and complicate things. She'd try to turn Sophie against me, try to paint me as the vindictive husband who couldn't forgive a simple indiscretion. She'd make me out to be the villain in her story. We go public, I said. Public how? This town runs on gossip. Time to give them something to talk about. The beauty of living in a small city is that everyone knows everyone else's business, and secrets travel faster than wildfire. By Monday morning, half the town would know about Rachel's affair just from the divorce filing, but I wanted to control the narrative, make sure people heard the truth before Rachel could spin her version. I started with Mrs. Tibbets, our nosy neighbor who'd been watching our house for signs of drama since the day we moved in. She was watering her garden when I pulled into my driveway Monday morning. Morning, Mrs. Tibbets. Beautiful day, isn't it? She looked up eagerly, sensing gossip potential. Oh, hello, Dan. Yes, lovely. I noticed Rachel left early this morning with suitcases. Did she? I wouldn't know. We're getting divorced. Mrs. Tibbets nearly dropped her watering can. Divorced? Oh my goodness, what happened? She's been having an affair with Tyler Keene. You know, the car salesman? Turns out she's been meeting him at hotels while I was working. I found out Friday night. No. Rachel? But she seems so professional. Professional is one word for it. Anyway, I thought you should know in case people start asking questions. You know how rumors get started. Mrs. Tibbets nodded eagerly, already mentally composing the phone calls she'd make as soon as I left. By noon, everyone in a 6-block radius would know the story. Next stop was Giuseppe's, the Italian restaurant where Rachel and I had our anniversary dinner. I ordered lunch at the counter, making sure to sit where I could be overheard by the maximum number of people. Eating alone today? Asked Maria, the owner's wife. Getting used to it. Rachel and I are getting divorced. The conversations around me quieted, ears perking up. I'm so sorry to hear that. You two seemed so happy. We were, until she started sleeping with Tyler Keene. Turns out she's been lying to me for months, meeting him at the Marriott while I thought she was working late. Maria's eyes widened. Tyler Keene? The car salesman? That's the one. Caught them red-handed Friday night. Well, not literally red-handed, but close enough. By the time I finished my sandwich, the entire restaurant was buzzing with whispered conversations. The story would spread through the business district like a virus. But I wasn't done yet. Tyler worked at Premier Motors, the upscale dealership downtown. I'd never liked the place. Too flashy, too expensive, the kind of establishment that sold status as much as transportation. But Tyler fit right in with his expensive suits and practiced smile. I found him in the showroom, talking to a young couple about a BMW. He saw me coming, and his face went pale. "Danny, what are you doing here?" "Shopping for a car. My wife's Mercedes is going back to the bank. Turns out she's been spending our money on hotel rooms instead of car payments." The couple looked confused, sensing tension but not understanding it. Tyler's smile became strained. "Maybe we should talk privately." "Why? I'm just a potential customer, unless you have some other reason to be uncomfortable around me." Tyler's boss, a heavy-set man named Carlson, approached from across the showroom. "Everything okay here, Tyler?" "Everything's fine," Tyler said quickly. "Actually," I said, extending my hand to Carlson, "I'm Dan Kavanaugh. Tyler's been having an affair with my wife. I thought you should know, in case it affects his work performance." Carlson's handshake went limp. The young couple backed away slowly, sensing drama they didn't want to be part of. "Danny, please," Tyler said, his voice low and desperate. "Don't do this here." "Do what? Tell the truth? I thought you'd be proud. Rachel certainly seemed proud Friday night when she told me how much better you are than her boring husband." "It's not like that. It's exactly like that. You've been screwing my wife for 6 months while I worked my butt off to support her career. But hey, at least now I know why she needed those late-night business meetings." Carlson looked between us, clearly calculating the damage this could do to his business. "Tyler, maybe you should take the day off." "Mr. Carlson, I can explain." "Take the day off." Tyler's face flushed red as he grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. But I wasn't finished. "Tyler," I called after him. "Tell Rachel I said hello. Oh, and you might want to find a new hotel. The Marriott staff remember faces." He left without looking back, and I turned to Carlson with my most innocent expression. "So, about that car?" By Wednesday, the story had taken on a life of its own. Rachel's law firm was buzzing with whispers, Tyler had been suspended from his job pending an investigation into his conduct, and Sophie was fielding calls from friends who'd heard various versions of the tale. Rachel finally cornered me at the house Thursday evening. I was packing some clothes when she walked into the bedroom, her face a mask of controlled fury. "You're destroying my career." "I'm telling the truth. If that destroys your career, maybe you should have thought about that before you started the affair." "People are talking about me like I'm some kind of criminal." "Aren't you? You committed adultery. You lied and cheated and betrayed your family. In my book, that makes you a criminal." She sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly looking older than her 42 years. "Danny, please. I know I hurt you, but this has to stop. You're humiliating me in front of the entire town. How do you think I felt when I found out my wife was sleeping with someone else? When I realized everyone probably knew before I did? That's different." "How is it different?" "Because I never meant to hurt you. It just happened." I stopped packing and looked at her. Really looked at her, trying to find some trace of the woman I'd married 23 years ago. "It didn't just happen, Rachel. You made choices. You chose Tyler over me, lies over truth, your own selfish desires over our family, and now you're facing the consequences. The consequences are destroying both of us. No, they're destroying you. I'm finally free." She stood up, her lawyer persona snapping back into place. "Fine. If you want to play this game, I'll play. But remember, I know things about you too. About your business, about corners you've cut, about what? About how I've worked 16-hour days to build something real? About how I've been faithful to you even when you made it clear I wasn't good enough? Go ahead, Rachel. Tell everyone what a terrible husband I was. Tell them how I supported your career, raised our daughter, kept our family together while you were out playing games." She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again. We both knew she had nothing. No dirt to dig up, no secrets to expose. I was exactly what I appeared to be, a working man who'd been betrayed by the woman he loved. "This isn't over," she said finally. "Yes, it is. You just haven't accepted it yet." After she left, I finished packing and loaded my truck. The house felt different now, like a stage set after the play was over. All the props were still in place, but the performance was finished. I was staying at Marcus's until I found a place of my own, but first I had one more stop to make. Jenna Price lived in an expensive development on the north side of town, the kind of neighborhood where every house looked the same and every lawn was perfectly manicured. I rang her doorbell at 9 o'clock, knowing she'd be home from her evening workout. She answered in designer sweats, her expression shifting from surprise to wariness when she saw me. Dan, what are you doing here? We need to talk. About what? About your role in my wife's affair, about how you helped orchestrate this whole thing. She tried to close the door, but I put my foot in the gap. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. Your house was their meeting place. Your advice helped Rachel plan her exit strategy. Your manipulation turned my daughter against me. You're paranoid. No, I'm informed. And now the whole town is informed too. Her face went pale. What do you mean? I mean, everyone knows about Rachel and Tyler. Everyone knows about the hotels, the lies, the betrayal, and everyone's asking who else was involved. You can't prove anything. I don't have to prove anything. I just have to ask questions, let people draw their own conclusions. I turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and Jenna? You might want to think about finding a new law partner. Rachel's reputation is pretty much finished in this town, and reputations have a way of spreading. The look on her face told me everything I needed to know. She'd been so focused on destroying me that she'd never considered the collateral damage to herself. As I drove away from that perfect neighborhood with its perfect houses and imperfect people, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. The war was over. The truth was out. And justice had been served. Rachel had wanted to trade up, to leave her boring husband for something better. Instead, she'd lost everything that mattered. Her marriage, her reputation, her standing in the community, and her relationship with our daughter. Some lessons, I thought, can only be learned the hard way. And some people have to lose everything before they understand what they had. The story was over, the accounts were settled, and I was finally free to build